Let's Talk Real Estate and Stuff, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of real estate investing and the random stuff that makes life interesting. I'm John Whitfield from Carrot/Investor Views, joined by my co-host Carlos from Carrot/Investor Views and Papa P, aka Pop Brandon.
Is his main identity now Papa P, aka Brandon?
I mean, it might be. Like, I feel like there's just been a steady evolution, and I'm like, can I even say Brandon on this?
Right.
Anyways, we're in for an exciting journey. Notice on the side of the screen here, if you are watching us on YouTube, which you should be. If you're not, go to links.letstalkrealestate.tv to follow us. But shoot us a little coffee money, which we will use to promote this podcast so we can keep coming to you live on Friday to explore the world as you know it. Hi, gents. How's your week going?
It is going fantastic. March already flying by. Kicking up business, calling up some HVAC folks in a new venture here as we are expanding into that market officially on the Carrot side of things, which is super, super exciting. So getting to know that avatar more and more. I'm trying to get my friend on a quick personal. I'm trying to get one of my friends who was flying to Sarasota for Orioles baseball spring training. They had to land in West Palm Beach for cloudy conditions. So I'm trying to convince him to come down and change plans to come to Miami, but I don't think that's happening. But that was relevant, just up-to-date minute news here.
That's nice.
Speaking of Miami, up-to-date news on Miami. Miami is officially breaking up with spring break. They sent out a video, and I was like, bro, if anything was more 2024, it was that. Like, that is the epitome of our culture in society now, where a city has a viral Instagram reel breakup video for people not to party on its beaches. That's how they did that. And I was like, this is
$100 to park, right?
Yeah.
I heard it on the radio. Not the radio.
I mean, it was a hilarious video.
It was,
and I was like, man, if people want to go to Miami, they're still going to Miami.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I'm like, man, is Clearwater going to do that?
So, like, I was talking to some friends this last week. They own a condo in Daytona. I was like, do people even come there for spring break anymore? Because Daytona used to be the place back in the day.
That's the only reason why you go. That and Bike Week. Daytona, I haven't been in Daytona probably like 7 years. But I used to sell houses out there and stuff for the bank, and like, bro, the only thing in Daytona is partying. Like, it's the shittiest place. So shitty.
Spring breakers don't come there anymore. That's what they said. No, they said they go up to the Panhandle mostly now.
Yeah.
Destin, because that seems to be the only place that welcomes them.
Clearwater.
And so,
isn't Clearwater
too? Okay, I don't know about Clearwater.
I mean, obviously, it's huge tourism and revenue dollars. I mean,
right.
You know, I don't know why you wouldn't, but yeah.
Turning away business.
You know.
I think it's like the liquor stores in Miami, they're closing at like 8 p.m. or something like that.
It's not just tourism dollars. It's like when you talk about the mental health of that generation and society in general, and then you add in a bunch of alcohol, no parental guidance, no rules, no nothing, and it's just you put them all together from different schools into one area. I mean, like, dude, they already didn't have self-control.
Yeah, the people down here, the last 3 years I've been here, the first year I was visiting, the last 3 years I've been down here, because spring break is always on my birthday, like March 25th week. And they've declared state of emergency the last few times, but maybe it'll be
declared a state of emergency, like legitimately.
Yeah.
Why? Because crazy people?
Because they're
shooting,
jumping on top of police cars and flipping cars over and burning
wild
stuff.
Again, that's why I made the statement I made. Yeah, that's why I made the statement I made. It's not a knock at like the younger generation as it is so much of like this is they can't be controlled because they have the poor mental health, bro. They have nothing else, lack of purpose, lack of what they're doing, not free alcohol, but an abundance of alcohol, sex, hormones, fucking, they have no rules, nothing to happen. And, add that all together with that alcohol and it's just bad. bad. I think it's worse than it ever was. Like, I
Mm.
mean, back in my day, and I was talking to a kid in college today at the gym. Felt really old, but like, and as I'm talking to him, and we're talking about like his major and stuff like that, I was like, shit, this was like almost like 20 years ago for me. And I don't always think of myself as an old guy, but that really aged me. But it's like, man, 20 years ago, like, there was no shooting, bro. There was none of that. Like, yeah, like you didn't go out and party and then get violent. Like that wasn't.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it gets worse as time goes on. The other thing I wanted to bring up is it is official. The state of Florida is also leading the way in awesomeness by holding its first annual Florida Man contest meetup. So they had like the Florida Man Olympics or whatever they want to call it. I don't know the
Are you
name.
serious?
I
That's
was
a real
studying.
thing?
Bro, and it like 5,000 people showed up for the first annual
That's
Florida
not
Man
helping our
Olympics.
cause at all.
Right, and it's like they were wrangling alligators, drinking, like it was just
No.
wild stuff of like what it's basically poking fun at Florida, but like in they got 5,000 people there.
That's crazy. That's why spring breakers come here, is because all they hear about is Florida Man. And they're like,
I
this
mean,
sounds like a great place to go be wild.
out of the top, what, five states, 5 places that people are moving, Tampa and Orlando are like 2 of them. When you look at like people
believe
moving
it.
out of New York, California, all those states, Washington, like where are people going to? Tampa and Orlando keep ranking up in the top like 5 or so. Maybe top 10, but you get the idea.
It's crazy.
I
Don't
saw
come
an
to
interesting
Florida.
Miami,
post.
I mean,
I saw an interesting post on that subject. Probably Lex Levinrad posted that each year he follows some type of like U-Haul data report.
yeah,
just to
yeah,
see how
I
many
know that
people are
guy.
renting them and dropping them off.
I've
And
seen that.
he's very bullish on like you know Florida. You guys both are Florida guys more so than me. He's very bullish on like Port St. Lucie and like north of there, like closer to Jupiter, as far as like getting into in areas that are like 300K medium home value, and then those appreciating more so than like down here, easier to get into, and that they're going to appreciate more. There's like NASA,
Yeah.
some other place they're going to have a lot of jobs.
I fully believe. I was looking at an RV park out that way the other day by Cape Canaveral, NASA area, in Mims. But
Canaveral.
I fully believe. I believe you're sprawl because you can't go this way in the South Florida.
Yeah, you
It's
gotta go
just
for that
moving
forward
up.
corridor.
Yeah, and like I've always said years ago, I think Daytona and New Smyrna, I think they're shit. No, sorry, they're horrible areas for what they could be. But I think as sprawl goes up, I think those areas are going to be, Brevard County, Flagler County, Volusia County. Those ones along the coast are going to be the next. I mean, you're running out of coastline, and you can still get cheap stuff there.
Yeah, you can.
And there's a lot of old buildings that need to be torn down.
Yeah, tons of old buildings. Like everybody was like building like vacation homes, and then they went to like, I want to live in a city, and so there's a lot of property up for grabs in those areas. I mean, the what's like right next to the coast is like all built up, and
there's
like,
not a lot of economy out there.
No,
there's not a lot of. When you talk about economy, like there's a lot of retail, there's a lot of restaurants, stuff like that, but there's not a lot of large businesses employing high dollar people. So yeah, it is. It's your second home. It's a vacation home.
Airbnb market. My brother's coming to St. Augustine area in August, and my parents are going over, and then so we're like, okay, do we go look for our own Airbnb so we can bring our dogs, because they have a new kid and nobody needs my young pups running around with a baby. And I was looking at Airbnb prices. I'm like, oh my freaking God, they're so high in that area. And like this, and they're not even close to, they're still like 45 minutes away from downtown St. Augustine. And it's still like 175, $200 a night plus. Lots of houses listed for like 400, $500 a night. I was like, man, maybe the Airbnb market is still working in places like this, because Airbnb prices have gone up so much in the last 3 years.
And there are restrictions on the people, like, whether it's check-in, check-out is no longer lenient. It's like, it's back to hotel standards, and it's like, it's my thing where I've been saying on this damn show, everything reverts back concept the way it
Mhm.
was. It's like we were talking the other day of like the smartest thing anybody can ever invent is an app that just compiles all of the fucking streaming services into one, and you only have to pay one service, and it's basically cable on an app. We're going back to it because of what happened, right? Streaming was supposed to be something. Now I'm hopping between Amazon, Hulu. Do I have a channel? I looked at my Amazon. I'm paying. Not only am I paying $15, and it's like $9.99 for this, $9.99 for this,
Yeah,
like
different channels
Paramount,
inside
and then
Amazon.
they started adding ads in, and they're like $5 more if you don't
Yeah.
want ads. I'm like, I already pay Prime, bro. Like, what else do you want from me? I'm paying more money now than when I had cable. Take me back to the days where I have to DVR.
Or
You know what I
DVR
mean?
stuff.
Like, yeah, I have to DVR The Wire so I can watch it when I get off work. You know what I
The
mean?
Wire,
Like,
man.
please, where the only channels you had to pay for were HBO, Skinamax, and fucking Showtime, right? Otherwise, you were free. And if you wanted a movie, you know what? You had pay-per-view for $5. You were just, and you were living the dream. Life was freaking simple. And that's what I see Airbnb, long circling back to it, is it's like, yeah, I think it's going to revert back because it was supposed to be a way away from hotels and like the restrictions and the check-in and check-out and the, you know what I mean? And it was supposed to be cheaper and
Cheaper. If
better
it
for
was
your
cheaper, one of the main
Cheaper.
benefits, like cheaper and
It's
flexibility.
not.
bro.
It's not
Cheaper.
fucking cheaper anymore. I'll tell you that right now.
And now they want you, bro. It's like you're paying a cleaning fee on top. I don't pay a cleaning. When I go to the hotel, I feel bad for these people at the Embassy Suites in Little Rock, okay? I'm literally just, there's just shit everywhere. There's like my food, my Chipotle burrito mess on the bed. I'm just like, I'm mid-eating. Oh, shit, my flight. I'm running out. There's corn and rice everywhere. Do I get charged? No, and
Nope.
here's the best part. I get free towels. They literally let you take the towels. They want you to take them. So I come home with new towels. I impress my wife.
That's right. I
Every
forgot you
trip.
were telling us about when you bring towels home.
If I stole towels at the Airbnb, I would get charged $500 or some. I would never get my deposit back. And that's the other thing. The deposits are going higher and higher. People want deposits. They want cleaning fees. I don't do any of that at a hotel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Airbnbs are like, I don't know.
The people that I know that used to Airbnb a lot also are trying out Vrbo. And that seems, I haven't looked personally.
To me, it's the same thing. Different name,
that's what I'm expecting is the same. I personally
it's
haven't
the same
looked.
concept. And if
But
you're
they're
good,
also like, they're staying away from like Vrbo's, like you can't, it's like a house. Because I have started seeing listings like,
you have to be careful with that.
I
dude.
know.
When I was
We were looking for like,
Yeah.
because we have to come down to Orlando for turtle research later this month. We were looking on Airbnb, and it's like there's ones that it's like it's $180 a night for a room.
Yeah, but you don't
A
know that. Like if
fucking
you have to code out, filter out room. Like you have to actually say whole home.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is not
And
a
even
bad
then,
deal.
even if it's a whole home, sometimes you got to read the description because the owner might be like living next door or in the
in the in-law
backyard.
suite, or you're not getting the house, you're getting an in-law suite, and then but the pictures don't make it look like that, and that's yeah, dude. So
Not
that's
the vibe.
my issue. But Vrbo and Airbnb are synonymous with each other. Yeah, they're different apps, but honestly, when I was looking up at the lake, most of good rental people just book. They have the same listing on either app. Like it's just like I've seen the same properties on either one before.
And there's software now that syncs your calendars between multiple like rental listings.
And then like I was looking at an RV like an RV software for the RV portion of our park because I'm trying to automate that. And like there's a software that pretty much is like, yeah, we'll send it to Airbnb, we'll send it to booking.com, campground, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and we'll give you your own website and it syncs to your calendar and it's all set up like that.
Yeah.
I definitely like hotels the last couple years.
But I've
we went
noticed
to a really nice one in Oregon. Man, that place was nice.
and I get breakfast. I mean, I don't eat
breakfast
all the
security.
Time. Yeah.
They clean your stuff.
And you can wander. Like I love just putting like when I'm out in Little Rock, right? I'll just like have my sweatpants on because in Florida you can't wear sweats. So like I'll be like, oh, let me put my sweatshirt and my hoodie on and just go wander the hotel and see what's going on with people.
I wear sweats, but I'm more heat acclimated. I wear joggers and hoodies all the time.
Yeah. But then they'll have like events, and like I'll kind of meander down into the conference area and just like read the stuff on the table. There's me just drinking my coffee in my sweatpants. Everyone's dressed up in suits, and I'm just like, oh, I belong here. Let me just read this.
Yeah, dude. Hotels are the move.
Hotels are not
really the move.
bad, and
No.
my biggest complaint with hotels when it comes to vacation is the family aspect.
And
Where am I
pets.
gonna in pets? But a lot of
large
hotels
groups,
now,
like if it's like a big bro, if it's like 8 bros for some type of excursion,
Yeah.
maybe you could get a better
Mhm.
deal on Airbnb.
that's an Airbnb owner's dream right there.
Hey, bros.
I know. No, but yeah, when I go with my family, a house makes sense. But yeah, I expect I'm putting a deposit down that maybe I'll get back, maybe I won't. I'm gonna have a $300 cleaning fee. I'm gonna have like 300 to 400 bucks a night if I want a pet there. Maybe it's nice, maybe it's not. And then
Mhm.
I get asked to strip down the bed and put everything in the washing machine and make sure I clean up on my way out. And I'm like, shit, dude.
A lot of
This is not
work
a
for
equal relationship here.
yeah, exactly.
But I think it'll turn. I don't know. I've seen a
I'm
lot
still
of
waiting. We
Airbnbs.
talked about that a while ago. That Airbnb
A year ago,
Airbnb
we
prices will start to decrease
But I
because
think, yeah,
it's not happened yet.
I wouldn't
Why?
say they've decreased, but I've seen a lot of people selling their Airbnbs, at least in the markets
Yeah,
I'm
but
looking at
you would
vacation
think
homes.
that yeah, if yeah. I mean, I know there's two reasons, right? Like it could be that interest rates, like they're just not able to maintain the property or pay the payments, right, with what's coming in. But at the same time, I'm like, well, shouldn't these people start dropping their prices? Like the long-term Airbnbs,
I
like are
don't
they
think some of
still
them
having the
can.
same amount of bookings?
No, I mean I don't have AirDNA. Like I don't have the software to tell me all that stuff. But like I mean I've seen a bunch of them selling. I feel like if you bought high, you can't. You have
No,
two
I know.
choices.
I'm saying the people that bought high are the ones that are selling off. The people that
Well,
have been
no,
around for a
not.
long time.
But I'm saying both. They're not just selling off, but they have no choice but to continue to ask for high rents to
I see what
maximize their
you're saying.
rent
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
have to make their payments. Whereas somebody who's owned the property or bought Airbnb in 2012, 15, all that stuff, I mean, they're golden. They'll never get. I mean, that's a cash cow for them. They're paying down their mortgage by now. I mean, they're heavy principal down payments. I mean, they'll never get rid of that. And but like there is a case, and we talk shit on Airbnb all the time, but the algorithms get me a lot of times with some rental properties, and there are cases for phenomenal Airbnbs themed where somebody puts a lot. Like I saw a Harry Potter one, I saw an arcade one. Some have bowling alleys in them, arcade
Those
games,
ones
movie
make bank in
theaters.
Orlando.
Yeah,
Theme parks.
Orlando's
Oh
huge for
man.
those. Arizona's got some really cool ones where like Arizona has one where it's like this kind of like Spanish style, you know what I mean? Like and you're just plants and openness, air and it's Spanish tile and you're looking at it, you're like I would experience like it's more of an experience than
Yeah.
man, I need this cookie cutter house in a neighborhood that somebody's just like $500 a night because I got some fucking beds and some fucking linens on there and some plates from Walmart. Here you
That was
go.
like the original idea behind Airbnb. I remember Dan, the other co-founder of InvestorFuse, he'd always be like the Airbnb founders would talk about what the 10-star experience is, right? Everybody's used to like what's a 5-star experience, but the Airbnb founders are like, let's make what's a 10-star experience for somebody coming to stay at your place, like what you have, what you experience when you're there, like the surroundings, and yeah, I mean that. I haven't done any of that.
I've seen them. I've seen a lot of them
Yeah.
with like, especially in Texas, you get a lot of land. You have like pools, and I saw one with lazy rivers, ATVs. And what are you getting with it? Like, and that's the thing, not just the design, the layout, but like, are you putting, I mean, depending on where it's at, kayaks, bikes, boats, ATVs, scooters, like what are you providing these people, rafts? But we know that those are far and few in between. But the majority of the market makes up the middle class of Airbnb owners of just like, oh, this only penciled as an Airbnb. Oh, it's in Franklin, Tennessee, or fucking what is it like fucking what's the other place over there? Yeah, Chattanooga, Tennessee, or like Asheville, North Carolina. I'm buying it, bro. And that was it. And people were just buying them regardless, and there's an oversupply.
Yep. All right. Well, enough of
Those are
Airbnb.
things- Those are things that I stay away from Airbnb, but we know the other thing I've always talked about staying away from was sub twos. I believe it's a great strategy,
Mm.
but an advanced strategy. But I've never been a proponent of it being for wholesaling newbies, quick bucks. I feel like it's complex. There's a lot of people involved that rely on a lot of things on these moving parts, and people have done that. Carlos, you were saying something this morning. I know you sent something over in our chat about you knew somebody who had like a short sale, or no, I'm sorry, a sub two called in or something. What was the deal with that?
I just saw a post from a guy, Clay
Oh.
Manship. I think I've spoken to him before. I definitely know the name. But
Okay.
he was posting essentially, thank
John
you,
pulled it
producer,
up.
for getting this pulled up. But this is something that has came up on the show and we've seen people talking about. So this is just kind of just pulse to the industry on social media. We're seeing some type of stuff like this, the due on sale clause. And this guy's pretty much saying, I got 3 texts this week saying that deal's call due in 30 days, tons of litigation coming. Playing with bank debt will get you burnt. Stick to the hashtag basics. So we've heard people in this line of thinking, go ahead, John.
I was going to say, for clarification from a non-real estate man, minus my whatever. They're saying that the bank inside the mortgage has a clause that says, upon being sold, you have to pay it up, right? And so they're saying, what they're saying is the banks are saying when a sub 2 occurs, that is a sale, and therefore the mortgage comes due. Is that what's happening?
Yeah. In a sense, you're 100% correct. There's a clause in there that if it transfers ownerships, I mean, obviously the mortgage is with the owner. They want the property to be with the owner of the mortgage. If it's not, what the fuck is the mortgage on? So they have the right to call it due if you transfer that ownership because they loaned you the money, nobody else, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what sub 2 is. So people have their ways. I saw another post in the Make-A-Wish Foundation where this guy is very intelligent. Not Pace, another old head. He's an old guy who's been doing it a long time, and he has his way. And I've attended one of his like online webinar things, and he knows what he's talking about. He has a way of doing it where he recommends, and everything's with a trust, and here's how to do it, here's how to name it, and everyone's got their own way. And he was in there giving instructions for people, and you still had people saying, oh no, they're going to call it due no matter what, they're going to do this. So I feel like there's both sides of it, that no matter any way you set it up, there's always going to be that risk that it can happen. Like everyone thinks it won't happen, and if you're Pace Morby and it happens, Pace does not care. I could promise you he has enough money to just pay it off.
Well, what's the legal ground that happens though? Like the bank is calling it due to the original owner, right? They're not calling it. They're calling it due to the new owner.
But they can foreclose on it. So if you don't pay it, it gets foreclosed on. And yes, the old owner is going to get foreclosed under my
right. That's what I'm saying. It's all like falling on the old owner, which sucks.
Which sucks, and I'm sure, and I don't know, but I'm sure there's going to be some documents depending on how you did the deal that holds you responsible and liable. But at the same point, you might have paid $100,000 entry fee, you might have paid 50, you might have put money in, rehabbed it, whatever it is. You're going to lose all your money on the line too.
Mm-hmm.
So even if, and you're the one been paying the mortgage payments. So yeah, but you see these things here. Does your servicing team track the transfers without payoffs? If so, why not call it? So he's talking about the banks. If your bank has a servicing company, which is the banks don't actually handle the mortgage, they have a servicing like SPS, and like there's different loan servicing companies, that if they track a title transfer and they don't see a payoff come in, if the two pieces don't mesh, because usually when you request a payoff from them, and then there's a title transfer that pops up in the county, right? County records. But if you have a transfer that happens and no payoff, something's going on. So if so, why not call due on sale clause? And if you can issue new debt with 2x higher rates. And Carlos, that's been the argument I've been seeing from people saying, and like when I talk to people, their logic for people anti sub 2 is saying, well, yeah, it might have worked when the rates were so low, there was no benefit for them to cancel out or call due and then lend at a lower rate than what it was. But now you got all these sub 2s at 3%. They can get all their money back and relend it because you can only lend that money out 9 times at a bank. They could relend that money out at 7%, 6%. So why wouldn't they do it? And that's been like a lot of the anti sub 2 people, what they've been saying.
And can that due on sale clause just get triggered at any time for any reason? Because people that have taught it, like Pace and stuff, I think that they said it doesn't happen very often at all. Like one in every 1,000.
You want to know why?
Something like that.
So it doesn't happen a lot because banks aren't in the business of owning real estate, and banks lose money. So like when I did foreclosures for the banks back during the recession, times are different, technology is different. But listen, man, it's not like the banks have this operation. They have to hire a servicing company different from their like loan servicing. Usually it goes through a different platform. They have to find vendors. They got to get an appraisal. They got to figure evaluate. Oh, that's nice. No, I like the other one. They got to figure evaluation. You know what I mean? Then they got to, whether it's a trash out, eviction, lawyers, then it's, you know what I mean? Like there's money involved in it. And then on top of that, I don't like the 3 side-by-side view, but on top of that, it's when you're messing up my train of thought now. Then they got to go and sell it. And then do you have to rehab it? Then you got to get vendors and bids. And you could be holding this asset for months while you're going through it. And this is what happened to them during the recession is they took all these assets over and they aren't capable of running them. It takes them time to work it through move it through the process. Meanwhile, you're not getting paid on it. So it's not in their best interest to do it. But I do agree, like they could double they could get their money back and lend it back out. And plus, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do most mortgage companies know that something has happened with sub 2, or is it only happening with the owner of the property? Like I come to you, I'm going to sub to your property. You have the loan with the bank. Do I tell the bank that I'm taking over the mortgage?
That would be an assumable loan where you would go and assume the loan, and there's probably standards for that for assuming a loan. You can wrap a loan, you can do all kinds of stuff. But
what they're saying is the bank has caught on to what people are doing, and are like, because the title does transfer, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, so the title transfers whether you are stupid enough to put it in your own personal name, whether you put it in an LLC, or whether you put it, you're buying Brandon Pedersen's property, you put it in Brandon Pedersen 222, ABC Street, Orlando, Florida Trust, whatever, and maybe they're not smart enough and they're like, oh, well, that's still the guy's name and address of the property. It's probably him just doing, because there's also a clause that says they can't trigger it if you're doing that type of planning. If you're the beneficiary of the trust, you still technically own it, even if it's not in your name. So you're protected that way. So people try to trick it by naming it that. And since trust documents aren't recorded, and I'm way out of my league because I'm not a lawyer at this point, but since trust docs aren't recorded, they don't necessarily know who the beneficiary is. So it might be you, might be them. Oh, good luck finding out. But again, sub 2, when Pace started it and when everyone like the old heads did it, was such an underground thing and an advanced tactic that it was done rarely and not on mainstream. Now you just Google it. There's fucking merchandise for it. There's everyone talking about it. It's
you can get a hat.
It's a trending topic. So yeah, I would think the banks,
TikTok.
Yeah, I would say people in the bank aren't stupid, and when it's beneficial for them, I am sure they would start calling them due, because if I was the bank, I would say 2 things. Can I lend the money out higher? Is the property worth what we're owed on the property? Is the property worth more than it? If the answer is yes, why wouldn't I? Because even if I take a hit with the legal fees, finding an agent, because it's an ordeal, right? The holding, the legal fees, the agent commissions on selling, the vendors for fixing it up, because I'm probably going to paint it, do stuff like that, all that. And I still have room because you bought it back in 2020 and prices are double now. That's free equity for the bank.
Interesting.
Now, I don't know the state laws. I don't know the state laws for you being due if the bank gets more. Different states have different laws. Just to say that out loud, you'd have to check your state laws of what you're due if the bank collects more than what you actually owe them. Same thing.
That's a thing, right? Didn't we talk about that in a previous episode? There's literally a guy who's like after foreclosure, a surplus. Yeah. Was it you, Carlos, who was talking to that guy?
Yeah.
It was a dude in Atlanta that's running some of his leads for that through InvestorFuse. That was a
That's
few
right.
months ago.
That's right.
In
It's a
Florida,
customer.
you could do it with the taxes. That's how I got introduced to real estate, and I tried doing it in PA, and you couldn't do it in PA. But in Florida, and you could get someone to sell you their rights to that money, and you give them X amount, and you go collect the full amount from the state or the county, the municipality.
Interesting.
There's all ways to make money in real estate, but I find it so interesting with this sub 2 thing. And again, when Pace started, and I don't personally know him, but like when Pace started, it was not mainstream. He made it mainstream. He single-handedly made this thing mainstream and then taught everyone how to do it to then where other people decided to teach it, whether they were before Pace or not, right? Like that's irrelevant. And now so many people know it and talking about it. But the thing is those people have enough money that if it does get called in, they could be a good human and pay the mortgage off.
Yeah.
And or get another mortgage or get hard money or get a bridge loan or get something because they have that financial balance sheet to be able to do that. Whereas, that guy who wanted that $200 a month cash flow, he probably doesn't have the ability to go get a $300K loan, considering when I'm cruising that group, the Make-A-Wish Foundation is selling off cars and boats and fucking houses like it's like it's Christmas. I mean, people are financially strapped right now, so I can imagine people wouldn't be able to maintain their promises to sellers if the bank started calling everybody due. Granted, there are a bunch of people, operators who could do that. I'm just saying that's probably a 1% to 90, the 1% analogy.
Smaller amount of people that have been doing it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of mainstream things causing havoc for the rest of people, Carlos and I had an interesting conversation that I had to keep vague that happened this week about texting. So a very high volume wholesaler has been shut down, can no longer use smartphone. And it's not smartphone's fault. Smartphone's provider came to them and said, this account is doing the wrong thing. We have to shut them down for these reasons. They have to provide a plan to fix this. And it's their second time that it happened to them.
Second time.
Time.
Repeat offenders,
In the last
bro.
month and a half.
In a month and a half. And
God.
I mean, this guy has
that close? Oh
yeah,
my
in a month
goodness,
and a half.
like back to back.
And so like it was interesting, like just getting into it, like and it's made me kind of realize just how oblivious people are to this and like what's coming. Like I feel like I've talked about it on this podcast a lot. And it surprised me even still after like I chatted with them. I had a call with them. It was like, this is what's happening. These are the problems. You have to solve them now because it's only going to get worse. They're like, I mean, they see it as a problem, but like the urgency is not there. And like their whole business, transactions management, dispositions is completely shut down right now. Like nobody can call out and do anything.
That's dude. Oh fucking Christ!
But
I wish.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say the interesting thing is, somebody. No, I'll say no. I won't say names. Somebody in the phone area of this world was like, it doesn't matter how much somebody spends, right? Like they're a high volume producer. They do a lot of calling. They do a lot of text. They would be a lot of revenue for any business, like any phone provider out there, right?
No one's gonna give a shit. They'll shut them down because they'll lose their whole business.
It doesn't matter that
you cut the nose off to save the face. Cut the nose to save the face. No matter how beautiful the nose.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And like their lead gen is a problem. Like how they track consent is a problem. Like how they continue to communicate with people via sequences is a problem. Like there's just a lot of problems that need to be solved. And even two shutdowns within a month and a half. Like I was a little surprised at their lack of urgency. Like they do want to do things about it. They do want to like work on it. They're not oblivious to the fact. But if it was my business, I would be responding a little differently, I think.
You know,
I was gonna say really quick, Papa P, just for context of
no, that's fine.
I think more of these conversations are gonna happen. The analogy that I gave
yeah.
John is kind of like some people that I know that went to AA. Until they really hit rock bottom, when they like crash a car into a house, they're like, okay, I need to start going to AA meetings. Until someone's business, unless like if they get a third strike and their account completely gets shut down and they can't their team can't communicate, that's when they're like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get this problem fixed.
I agree, and it's like, so we've been. This is why I was about to say previous, John, when I was trying to interrupt you impolitely, and I was like, all I wanted to just be like, and this is, we've talked about this before, is the way what you were saying in that one section of your statement was the way they're managing relationships and consent, and like how they're using that tool. And we've been on the calls with, and we've done Carrotcast and had him on, and we've met Paul DeCampo and different people where we talk about like how to do your follow-up sequences and how to use great tools that Jordan's provided with smartphone over there. And it's like people still want to treat it like it's 2018 with Roar. People aren't understanding. And I've done this, and you could take any guru and you could take their revenue and break it down, their cost, their overhead, and break down to their profit, right? And everyone's always chasing those bigger numbers, and you got to get more deals, you got to get more contracts, reach out to more people, do more marketing. But really, if you just learn to operate a lean business and really focus on the relationship and use smartphone for what it is, it's basically a replace. It's a VoIP phone, man. That's it. That's it. Okay. It's a VoIP phone. It's your cell phone with a bunch of features on the internet that ties into your CRM. Treat it that way. Individually text people, individually call people, follow up with them manually, treat people like humans, and revert back to the day before we just started like blasting people, like we were just shotgunning the whole nation with 100,000. Like back in the day, I'd buy hundreds of thousands of lists off ListSource, just 100,000 rows of data of lists, and I didn't even care, man, just loading it in. Hypothetically, I'm saying, I don't know statute of limitations, but hypothetically, I would just blast these hypothetical people, and I would just send out hundreds of thousands of texts. Didn't care. What's going on? Doesn't matter. RVMs, load the RVMs right behind the text. Not on top of that, let's load that list in the dialer, call them too, hit them from all angles. And I remember one time I didn't clean the list, and there was a guy who owned like 16 properties in Orlando.
Oh God,
So we talked to him, and he loved me. Talked to him, he was ready. We were having this convo. But then the way we staggered all the communications over the next day or two,
You
bro,
just got so many.
he kept getting blasted with voicemails and texts. By the next day, we were getting like F-bombs, and he's like, "You're the worst. I never want to talk to you. I thought you were a nice person." And you just don't think about these things because it's a different mentality then. But now, with all the crackdown of everything, and Nick Perry's been saying it, it's like you really got to go with the higher end leads, the inbound leads. People are consenting. They're giving you consent to call them. They're reaching out to you. They're going to their site. And I believe, this is my personal belief, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, but I believe less is more. I believe the days, and this is something I've been preaching for the last year and a half as I kind of scaled my business back. It's like when you look at your revenue, your effort, the overhead and responsibility to run a wholesaling operation, and I'm going to walk away like, because I've been there, man. Like I've been a solopreneur where I was making so much money and keeping like 98% of it to running a business where I'm keeping 30% of it. And let's be honest, wholesaling doesn't scale very well because it's just, So if I could do, like I talked to somebody yesterday, I was talking to this realtor, and he asked me, he gave me the dick measuring question. And this is the first time I think I've answered it, where he was like, how many deals a month do you do? And that's the ultimate question. Carlos, isn't it? You go to any mastermind.
I just don't resonate with it. Like if you really want to know the deals.
Like that or doors. How many doors do you have?
Yeah. It's just not
how many doors? So normally I'd be like, man, I do like 10, I do 15, I do 20 a month. And you're trying to like, what I said to him, and you guys know, because I've said this and we've talked about it on the air, But I was like, man, I was like, not a lot. I was like, I really hope I can get down to only doing like 4 a month.
There's the
And
way to phrase it.
yeah, and I go, I really hope I could get down to maybe like 4 a month and really focus on higher quality ones where I'm telling the seller what I'm doing and I'm helping them and they're agreeing with it and they understand that I'm making money. And I'm really focusing on that and keeping more money than I am like quantity of doing deals. But I
Preach.
was like, I'm sure you know people doing a shit ton more deals than me, man. So like, this is just how what I'm trying to do is I focus on other things,
Yeah.
and it's like I just feel like quality over quantity is better, and how to maximize what I call my profit per lead. John knows that we've talked about it before. Profit per lead versus like revenue and deal size. And I think that's something that's going to change, John, to bring it full circle to your comment about this person getting shut down. Is people, and Carlos saying when you hit rock bottom, people are going to say the measuring of my dick is not appropriate for this type of business, and maybe I could actually make more money if I just did it myself with a couple people, automate a few things, inbound leads, focus on referrals to agents, novations, wholesales. Like there's ways to do it. TV ads versus cold
Mhm.
calling, PPC versus direct mail. You know,
Because it's only going to get worse. They're starting from the bottom or from the top and they're going down. Like this is the biggest offender. Let's take care of them. And they're just gonna keep going
and
down the
It's
list.
crazy.
Virginia is now making it illegal without a license. So many states are going to come through, and yeah, you could double end it, double close it. I mean, you could do whatever, but in the end,
Yep.
like you're gonna have, everyone's already aware. Like I got punished on a mobile home park deal. I was paying for the sins of wholesalers because I'm trying to prove I'm not an effing wholesaler when I'm not. Like I am. Like I don't even know, because sometimes I feel like I lie when I tell people I'm not a wholesaler when it comes to parks, because I don't wholesale parks. I just want to buy them, man. And he's like, well, the seller thinks that you're a wholesaler, and I'm like, I'm not. And he goes, yeah, well, we don't want to tie it up, and like he's like, we want a bigger deposit. I'm like, why am I paying for the sins of the last guy? Like, come on, dude. Like, I'm not putting
Yeah.
$30,000 down on this effing park. I put $5,000 down on the last one. It was like $2 million. Why am I putting 30 grand down with you? And it's like, but it's becoming such a thing with the bad apples backing out, tying things up, dragging things
Yeah.
along. With the violations in SMSing, the violations in cold calling, the blasting, the follow-up sequences that are automated with no human interaction, and you're just putting it out there, and you're making videos about it, and you're
That's
I was
the
thinking
making
about
crazy
that
part.
too. It's like the content that people can see, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody new coming in the industry, if they just be like, what's the best way to generate leads as a wholesaler? They're gonna find video after video of cold
There's
texting.
there's people
And
just
I
going
don't know
live
how
on
long it's gonna
newbies.
take to remove that from the internet, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just it's
it's never
going to
good.
come to a
The
point where
internet
it's not
the
going to
internet is
happen
forever.
anymore. I know, but like, how do we? It's an interesting question in this day and age where, like, obviously these practices aren't working anymore, but people can still find them.
Yeah. And dude,
It's
there's
like,
videos
You
of just
know,
new people cold calling. They literally set up an Instagram live and it's like, all right, here's me cold calling for an hour. It's just a fascinating day.
illegally cold calling.
It's a
And a
fascinating
lot
day
of
and age
people
to live
don't
in.
realize that recording somebody else talking is highly illegal if you don't have a warning or get their permission in advance, which is why when a large company calls, what does the operator always say? I just need to tell you that this call is being recorded for training and whatever purposes. And nobody does that in this industry, which is why I've never recorded my calls, because I always feel like if I get into it and I'm putting this out on YouTube, like if somebody really wanted to sue me, they have all this evidence, and like
Mhm.
what's my defense
If
of
that
me
RVM guy that you hit
violating?
was a lawyer, if you happen to hit a lawyer with the same RVM 16 times.
I mean, I just feel like you do business, you make money in real estate, you graduate wholesaling, and a lot of people get tied up in the coaching aspect of wholesaling and the coaching aspect
yeah,
of just real estate in general, and that's fine if that's your thing, but it's like you can really make some money in this business if you keep your overhead low and you keep your expenses down of like staff and offices, and you don't need a 30-person team. In if you have to have a partner to run that and you're splitting your revenue 50-50 and you're doing $5 million and you're making 30% off of that, because let's be honest, if you're making 5 or 6 mil, you got a pretty big effing office, probably with a hefty sales team. Like, what are you walking away with each? $750 a year?
Yeah.
I mean, you could be a
Crazy.
solopreneur, make $1 million a year with a small team and have like a 60-70% overhead, like 70% profit margin, and make more or the
We're
same
bringing it
without the
back. We're
headache.
bringing it back. We're bringing it back to one-on-one phone sales out of hotels.
Everything reverts, bro. I'm telling you, everything reverts back. Like my daughter, we were arguing about jeans. Right now, if you guys remember from the 90s, baggy jeans that cover like
Oh,
your,
yeah.
well, not Jenkos, but like that's, and she's wearing those. And I'm like, well, like, and you know, as we got older, you started wearing tighter clothes, boot fit, you know what I mean? Like straight legs, which are the previous generation before us was wearing. And now she's like, no, dad, that's not even cool. Like I can't wear those, are tight. I
It's
need
funny.
these. And they're like baggy fucking, I don't know, they look like pants somebody, I don't even know, dude. They're like baggy sacks of jean denim that these
I was
kids wear.
Yeah, I was at an event last weekend and I was hanging out. There's 4 sets of like couples. 2 of us have kids my age. 2 of them have older kids, and we were all laughing at the Stanley Cup kind of trend right now. Because like I worked at an outdoor store in like
When Stanley was all camping.
2007 when Stanley Cup was the insulated cup
Yeah,
for like
I have them.
workers, campers,
Yeah, and they
like
had that handle that would like that weird
yes,
handle that would like, yeah,
yes.
I got
And
Stanley
so
Cup
we're
in my
all like
basement, bro.
laughing that it's like now this like trend that every like young, and I was shocked because my kids aren't in public school. Like I see it with college kids here in Gainesville, like them and their dumb Stanley Cups. But I didn't realize it's like elementary school kids also are in on the trend all the way up through middle and high
There's
school.
trends, bro. But
It's
I just think
crazy, but
everything reverts back.
it
Everything reverts
does.
back.
Isn't that funny?
Papa P,
Whether it's
you should watch the
clothes.
documentary "Everything Is a Remix." It literally talks about like this whole cycle. You're exactly
Yeah.
right.
I've been saying it, and I've been running my business off this now. I'm starting to have a theory about things, that and like just thinking about the future and how everything, like what's going to happen in the future of hedge funds who, you know, if you think about everything reverts back for technology, for trends, for the way people live, but then you tie in the fact like hedge funds, what you could pay now. And one of the biggest lessons I ever learned was, I forget who said it. It was about hedge funds, and they were like, the reason why they're paying list price on properties is because they're thinking about what their home's going to be worth in year 10 when their fund is over. So my fund's up. I need to sell it and give back everyone's money. Do I make the return I need? They're not looking and worrying about what it's worth today. If in year 10, their projections say ultimately their fund had an X% return, they returned their investors' capital and did a great job. They'll overpay today if they believe year 10. Look, so now that's kind of how I'm buying stuff, is I'm thinking about things reverting, how people are living, and then I go in year 7, I'm looking 7 years out. What do I think? I don't care what it is between year 3 and 4 and 5. Like, what is it in year 7? Year 7, what's happening?
Yeah.
So I've learned these things as I go, but yeah. Anyway, I think people will revert back to the smaller team. I think people will revert back to the relationships. You're a dispo guy. You can't mass text or blast every deal out. What do? You pick up the phone. You build relationships. You ask them their
Build a network.
birthday. Yeah, build a network. Find out what they like. Go find them that deal.
I saw an interesting post just cross across my Instagram today. It was like a project manager in a kind of a big tech firm or big tech company, and he was saying, you know, our hiring has slowed down, but not only has our hiring slowed down, the number of applicants we receive per job has increased like 400%. And then he said, of the 20 people we hired this year, all of them came in from referrals. They know somebody who already works here. And it's
That's
like,
good
as
business.
like
That's good.
everything gets more and more complicated, the
Yeah.
network is so important. And then
Yeah,
he
dude,
was like, my suggestion to find a new job is work your network, find somebody that works there, know what they're looking for, and get in that way. The ability to get in on a cold application is done.
I took the opposite as a business owner. I was giving props to that business. The fact that somebody would refer their work to their friends and that many people says it speaks volumes for that leader, that organization, those managers, everything. That's got to be a great place to work.
I'm
I don't
sure
even
is
know what
a
it
point
is.
too,
Yeah.
right? Like if they're at a
Yeah.
sucky company, they're like, yeah, we we
Yeah,
hire
yeah,
all the
you're not
time.
referring people to a shitty. So that's how I took it, but I see your point. I
Yeah.
guess I'm biased as a business owner. Like that's what, because I want my
You
employees
want
to
to
be
work at a
happy.
crappy workplace with
Yeah.
horrible managers, you could
But
just
it's
put your cold
funny.
application out there.
It's funny because like you say this, and I have I have the TV right here with Bloomberg, which is a very woke style company. So I get it's like a Comedy Central for me when I listen to some of their shit. And it's like, so you say that. I just read on the headlines or whatever, it was a week ago, I think. YouTube has fired like an entire division. Was it like YouTube
Oh, the
Music or
music
something?
division and awesome
Yeah.
because yes, I remember
Laid
that.
off like an entire fucking thing. And the people
Yeah.
I saw the video of it on Instagram and they're just like, they're just sitting there
Uh-huh.
like, fuck, I'm getting fired. And it's numerous companies. There's a company in Lakeland that shut their whole operation down. They couldn't keep paying bills. And then I'm sitting here listening to this and they're like, it's the election year. So they're trying to make everything look glossy. And they're like, do you think people understand everything President Biden has done for the economy? Do you think that they can feel that the inflation is lower year over year and that the rise has decreased? And do you think they feel that there's the best employment numbers that he's had lately and that employment is up and there's been more job placements and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and the lady's like, well, no, I don't think they fully, and basically she's calling us stupid. She's like, I don't think they fully understand how all of that works. So no, I don't think that they understand that President Biden has done that for us. And I'm like, are you calling us fucking stupid? Because I'm pretty sure my cheese fucking doubled at the goddamn store. I'm pretty sure my gas is up. I got illegals running in getting $10,000 checks, free fucking cell phones. The government's flying them in on fucking airplanes and dropping them off all across the fucking U.S. I might as well go to fucking New York, pretend I don't speak English just so I can get a 10K. Yeah, stay in a fucking hotel, get 3 meals a fucking day, get a $10,000 check on a debit card, and live fucking free. All I got to say is I'm voting for Biden if that's true. And then they're like, you're my guy, man. Let's go. You need citizenship. And he's got a fucking app that now you can seek asylum. And that's how he's flying these people over. He's streamlining the fucking destruction of shit. And then he goes last night on the I'm ranting now on the State of the Union. He's like, I want to give teachers more money. And I'm like, you could have. You had hundreds of billions of dollars that you sent to Ukraine. You could have given that to a teacher. Every $10,000.
Couldn't have. Come on now.
No, that would have never passed.
That's per state. Come on, you know that the salaries are set by the state, not the federal government.
Oh, you could definitely do something. The federal government provides funding.
He gives
for the
funding.
state.
Sure, he gives funding to
There's
each state, and then
federal
each state individually
funding.
has to decide. Yes, we'll give this
Again,
money to
I
salaries.
agree with you that then the states are going to get involved. I don't know how all that would work. All I'm simply saying is if we really wanted to, the federal government could set up programs with the hundreds
If we really
of billions.
wanted to, everybody could do it, but every
What about
all
firemen and
politicians
police?
suck.
But again, what I'm getting at is they're just saying it because it's the election year.
Oh yeah.
But where I was going was you and I and Mary down the street all understand that that's not the economy we live in. That we do, like, everything is pretty hard right now for people. And it's like, Brittany, I was talking to her this morning. We're closing a couple deals and like these people need the money. And she said, the one thing she's the TC, right? She's like, the one common thing that everyone says to me because they all want to know when they're getting their money is about how expensive everything is and how they can't afford groceries and how they need money. Selling their house is a way to get money. They need to move somewhere cheaper. They're moving in with family to condense like their lifestyle. They can't afford the life they're living. And so that's where a lot of this animosity, when like people watch this shit on TV and they're downplaying it because it's an election year and they want to make things look glossy, it's almost like a slap in the face to us. And it's like, I don't know, I spend a lot of money at the grocery store. And now they're surge pricing Wendy's fucking burgers. And it's like, come on, dude.
I watched some of that
It's,
last night and turned it off.
Did you? It was hilarious.
He was
I didn't watch it
energetic.
at all.
He was like energetic and well spoken.
I know. He
Leaps and
actually.
babbles. He was
I
like
was
put
like,
together.
Bro, is this AI? Like, did they? Is this like a voice dub? How is this guy
Can you
actually
imagine?
saying words right now? Like, how's this guy saying words, bro? Like, where were these words for the past 3.5 years? Where was he hiding
Yeah.
all of these fucking vocabulary
That
skills
might have been
that
AI.
seem to have been lost on him?
Because you're only seeing the clips of the non-speech written parts.
Yeah.
They did a text. They put the entire text into a GPT video display.
But I know John's a Biden guy, and
I'm not a Biden guy at all.
John's a Biden
But
guy.
nor am I
saw
a
him-
Trump guy. So
I saw him
that's the
wearing a
point.
Biden shirt in 2020.
I've never owned a Biden shirt in my fucking life. You kidding me?
But I think it's a shame, and I'm not any. I guess I lean more Republican. I've never really defined who I am, but it's a shame that the Democrats didn't let RFK become their Democratic nominee because I don't agree with some of his policies.
He's too middle.
But
he's too middle. How can you talk
he
about
is-
somebody in the middle?
And
It's
that's
not
the
fun.
problem for me is like he has some conservative basis and he has some very good points on a lot of stuff, and I like
Yeah,
what he's done in his
I
past.
agree.
But then he's like straddling either side, and I just like, do I like you? Do I not? But either way,
What's wrong with that?
I think he's a much better candidate and I think the Democrats are stupid for not letting him run over Biden, because I think what they're trying to do to make sure Trump doesn't get into office, I think we can all agree that's most likely is what's all this shit's happening. I think the American people are obvious that they're really trying their best to keep the Teflon Don down, but like a cockroach, he keeps going. You can step on him and he just keeps running, dude. I think RFK would have been the best bet. They wouldn't have had to try anything. They didn't have to do any of this crazy shit. Just let him be the Democratic nominee, and you would have had a real competitor who's young-ish, in shape, well-spoken-ish, and like has a good following and the pedigree.
See, I can make the same exact argument for DeSantis on the Republican side.
Well, that's a different thing. The reason why DeSantis is my whole theory.
I hate DeSantis just for the record, but like I feel like he's a better candidate than Trump.
Yes and no. One, DeSantis would have never won because the people want Trump. However, from a political thing, it makes more sense.
But he could have pulled more people that would have voted for Biden than they will for Trump, is my point. Because he's in the middle.
Problem is you still have to go through your Republican nominee, and nobody wants DeSantis. So what I'm saying,
politics is stupid.
It makes more sense though. Now Trump could have stepped down if he wanted to, but we know that's never going to happen with his personality. But it makes sense for a Republican Party to say, wait a second, DeSantis is highly loved by people. Why don't I let Trump go? The American people want him 4 years, and then DeSantis goes 8 years. We now have 12 years running the executive branch versus only 8 years with DeSantis and maybe losing because we lose all the Trump people. I don't know. I agree with you, John. Like, I thought DeSantis would have been cool, but I definitely would have rather have Trump.
I was worried. Like, I don't like DeSantis or Trump, and I think I don't need to get into policy.
The people have spoken, John.
I know. Anyways, what was I gonna say? What was my point? I was worried if DeSantis would have gotten the nomination because I feel like he would have taken more votes away. Like from people who are like
he would have taken the votes away from all the other Republican nominees.
No, from the Democrats. I feel like more people that are in the middle would have voted for DeSantis than they would Trump. That's my point.
I don't know the answer to that, but I do think that's what's happening with RFK. Right. The problem is you're talking about people crossing a party line, which necessarily I don't think is as easy as you're making it seem, of stealing votes. Like, I think DeSantis swings very hard conservative, and people would bring up a lot of the shit that he did over the last couple of years.
Oh my God.
And I think
the shit that DeSantis does is ridiculous.
And I think he would get penalized for that for a lot of deaths. So I don't think crossing the party line is a big thing. However, I know when I said 3 minutes ago about RFK, there is a portion of me that feels like RFK is a plant in the middle, because he He
to
can steal votes
take votes away from the Democratic
from
Party.
Trump. Well, to take votes. Oh, I didn't think
Oh,
about
from
that. I
both
was saying
sides.
take. I was saying take
Interesting.
I think
votes
he's
so
gonna take
that
from
way it
both
makes it
sides.
easy. Yeah, make it easier for Biden to win because you have a lot of people who are Republican that just don't like Trump.
Yeah.
And I think that they will take votes away from Trump because RFK is in the middle. Personally, I think Trump has a mission that he wants to finish, and I think what they're doing to him is atrocious and obvious. And it's like, bro, he's just sweep the Republican nomination every state except for DC. Like, it is obvious the people have spoken, and
Mhm.
it's just the people have spoken, bro. And if this is what the election is, and he doesn't win, there is no way, regardless of what you like or don't
You
like,
can't
there is
say that the Republican nomination proves that the general election is going to go one way
for
or
the
the other. If
Republican
it's
Party.
not,
Okay, let me take it a step further for you.
Okay.
Let's just use some reasons of deduction. Because of the choices of the Republican Party, Trump swept each state with the exception of DC. That would mean the Republican voters have the Republican people have spoken to who they want, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now for Biden, it is very obvious that he is not 100% with it. Is that correct?
I would
A
agree with
common
that.
a common person can see
Absolutely.
that. Okay. His age becomes a concern for the majority of even
Also
Democratic
concerned
voters.
about Trump's age, but go on.
Hang on, you're right, but we're taking lines of deduction. We're going down
Yes.
line here. Okay. And we've gotten into 3 wars, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We've sent a lot of money overseas, correct?
Yes.
And I'm not okay. And now the illegal immigration thing, the fight with Texas.
I don't know enough about that, but let's go with
Gotcha.
yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of things stacking against Biden that whether you're Democratic or not, you probably don't agree with,
Yeah.
even as a Democrat.
I think a lot of people are going to go, I'm going to vote for Biden, even though I don't like what has happened the last 4 years because I don't want the other guy. That is the unfortunate thing I think is going to occur.
That's
in
a
this
shame.
election.
That's a shame that you had to say that because I feel like that's happening, but I also feel where I was going on my leaps of logic was basically saying that then there will be a lot of Democrats who thought Biden was going to be different in office and voted Trump out. And it's a lot of the minority votes, okay? A lot of minority votes recognize that they were lied to and they're switching over to Trump. So Trump's getting a resurgence of votes that he didn't get in 2020 because people bought the lie that Biden was pitching them. I'm saying those people have spoken and they're moving over. The Republican Party has spoken, and I would say a lot of common sense people in the Democratic are saying, these are my 2 choices. What Biden is doing is crazy, and I'm concerned as an American citizen, right, for my safety. I'm concerned for our financial system, and I'm concerned that there's a lot of wars going on. And you would lean back to Trump. Now, I agree with you, and I didn't think of it, but you're right. And I'm pretty sure I know a couple that would just basically be like, I got to stick with it. I'm in deep. I'm so deep in this. I got to vote. Like, I got to vote for Biden. I know a few people that would do that.
You say like lies. I think both sides lie.
All politicians
I haven't
lie.
seen in my history any crazy change from one president to the other, and it's going to take something radical to like
I think
knock
Trump
this
was
country in a
radical.
different direction.
I
don't think so. I think he gets in
was.
office. Inflation is not going to be solved. Maybe he does something with Ukraine, but all of his allies are going to be like, what about Russia? Like, there's so many bigger problems.
No. Did you not watch? I think when you listen to Putin talk and you listen to I think Trump will easily come in and do those things. I do have my one problem with Trump is because I'm a huge believer in like, if this is who you are as a person, you should have stood line, was COVID. I believe he capitulated because maybe not him as a person, but because of his staff and like what the pressure was from the lies of the Pfizer and all those companies. I think he capitulated. I feel like he let us down on that, and he could have. He's so outspoken. Why the F didn't he just go, this is all a crock of shit, everybody? But because it was an election year, like you said, all politicians, they have to worry about that one thing, right? Whether it's a lie or whether it's deceit. Like, he had to toe the line in order to try to get voted. Because if he would have said that shit on an election year and said what he really thought, if that's what he really thought, he would have 100% lost all of American confidence, because nobody, with
Was
the
ready
exception,
for
because it's
that.
proof, nobody, what is it, 78% or 87% of the population got vaccinated and believed the lies that were being told. So you're saying he would, if he spoke out, he would only resonated with like 13% of America, the rest
So
of
you're
it. So he
thinking because
didn't.
he can't get reelected, he would actually just do whatever the fuck
He
he
would do
wanted
whatever the
this time
fuck he
around?
wants, and he would. I think our tariffs on imports coming in would change. I think the war. I think he would go and talk because people respect him. People may not respect him, American people, because they hate, love him, jealous of him, don't like the way he talks. But business people, politicians, like leaders of state, respect what he's doing, because when he says he's going to do something, see, you make that face, but it's true. It's why
See, I know
everyone.
people that live in Europe, and from what
Not,
I've heard from
I'm not
them,
talking those people. I'm not talking the common people. Common people hate him. They used to love him when he was on TV, but they hate him now because they hate what he says and how he does. People would make fun of him when Trump would cut in front of other diplomats and
Yeah.
get in front. I was like, yeah, you should. We're fucking America. Get in front of everybody. And everyone's like, how dare he do that to those diplomats and me? So, oh, that's so rude. And so people are like, yeah, I hate him. Wow, he's making us look bad. Oh, these tweets. But Russia, Ukraine, these leaders of state, they listen to him. And I fully believe he would set the tone, because he's not being elected again. He could do whatever he wants for the first couple of years. And again, it's not ultimately him. He has to go through, he's got to go through the House of Congress. He's got to get these
there's
things
a
passed.
lot of people involved on all this.
It's not just like he makes the rule and it just
Right.
goes into
He
effect.
wakes up one morning, all right, let's do this.
Fucking go, bro. Have you ever watched the show Madam Secretary?
Mhm.
I highly recommend that in this election year. It really shows the inner workings. Great show. Sadly, it's only 6 seasons or so,
I think
but
West
like
Wing,
really,
is it similar to West Wing?
I want to go back and watch that. My wife wouldn't let me. Said it was too old of a show, and I
West
was like,
Wing?
"Come on, we're." I was like, "We're doing political right now. Like we turned.
Oh my
That's like
god, West Wing is
1998.
amazing.
It was like 1996 or 1998 is when it came out. She didn't want to go that old, and
I've seen, not all of West Wing. Like,
yeah, is it
what's
good?
the guy that wrote it? What's his name?
Is it Martin Sheen's the head actor and the main
Head
the
actor, the
president,
guy
right?
that
Yeah.
wrote it. He's like one of the ones that writes like the most amazing stuff. He doesn't like women, so he got pushed out of the show later, and women roles became better in the show, which that I think was fine. But anyways, it's phenomenal.
topic,
Like you should
yeah.
go watch it. It like gives you such insight.
want
I don't
to.
know if it's
Sadly,
real or
it's not
not,
up
but
to
it's
me, but yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
an
I'd love to watch
amazing
it.
show.
Same with Madam Secretary, I would imagine. I'd recommend that. But yeah, so I learned a lot from watching how because I didn't know how the government operated, but the president doesn't have as much say. He does have final say, but in the end, there's still a lot of things he's got to negotiate and get people to
Yeah.
do, and
You
everyone's
should
got
go
their
watch
own
West Wing. I think you'd really
angles.
like it. I think you'd like it.
But John, other than RFK, I think it's safe to say the American people want Trump. Trump will win. If he doesn't win, I think it'll become more obvious that there is corruption. And I don't know what that does to us. But I think if they would have.
That's an unfortunate statement that people start to have in their heads. I'm not saying
Why?
it's not true, but it's walking
What
in with a
statement?
preconceived notion that if he doesn't win, then that clearly means that somebody rigged the election.
Oh, it's 100% what that means. There is no way in hell. This man, okay. It's all I'm saying is, have you ever? He sold fucking shoes, John. NFTs in shoes.
How many people
and they
vote
sold
in
out.
the Republican nomination? How many people voted in the
Have you-
Republican nomination that he sweeped?
I don't actually know.
I don't
the stat
either,
number.
but compare
Yeah.
that number to how many people vote in the general election. You
Okay.
can't like make
again,
that same
Have you
analogy.
have you
It's
seen-
not apples to apples.
I 100%
It's
agree
like a
with you that you.
grapefruit apple.
But at the same time, all of his.
I'm not arguing he's popular, buddy.
I'm just saying, where the people have spoken.
No,
Spoken.
the Republican people have spoken.
No, even the non-Republican people have spoken. So many people have switched and crossed party lines for Trump because they saw what happened over the last 3 years from when he left to when where we're at now. So
We'll come
yes,
back
there's
election night and
crossing
see.
a party
At
line.
the end
We're
of
gonna
the
come back
day,
election night. I'm trying to buy Trump sneakers. If
Election
anyone
night.
gets a line on Trump sneakers, send them to me. You have never had a president so popular with the American people. All
at
of
the
his
end of
shows
the
are
day,
sold out.
here's what I want our viewers to realize. I want a multi-party system because a two-party
No.
system is so fucking broken.
It is. I
Stupid.
think an independent. I mean, we've always had we've had a multi-party system.
No.
It's just that
You
never
go
in the
look at what
history.
happens in parliaments across the world with multi-party systems, and you like the amount of people that cross
Why the
sides to make things
How
happen.
dare you? How fucking dare you bring up the word parliament? Fucking, we got rid of you English motherfuckers back hundreds of years ago when
I'm
you
just
tried
talking
taxing
parties.
us
I'm just
4%. You want to
talking
bring us back
parties.
to those days? Ironically, we rioted over like a 4% tax, and now we're getting like taxed 60%.
It's just I feel like so
We're
much
getting taxed
corruption
more
has
now
to
than we
happen
were back
in
then.
a dual
Yeah.
party system. It's stupid
Oh yeah.
to get something.
Everyone
Pay the fucking, like you said, pay the fucking teachers more money. Why can't
Pay the
that
teachers
happen?
more money.
Because
Bro.
everybody locks each other's up. Everybody wants it, but
Yeah.
no, we can't do that because
It's like
whatever,
nobody
fucking dual party
wants
politics.
it. Yeah, it's. I believe in the corruption. I believe all that. All I could say is this: is one of the other reasons why I want Trump is he's the only person to go into president to go into political office and his net worth has gone down. It is disgusting to see the net worth of politicians go up during their terms when they shouldn't. It's so obvious what they're doing, and yet we don't do anything about it. And Trump actually lost like $1 billion. And he's got $500 million on the table right now in fines and stuff because of these charges that they're trumping. I play on words, trumping up on him, and it's like, I don't know, but everybody, Obama, Bush,
broken.
It's all of them. They all make money.
Broken.
It's all broken.
Is my point.
So that then leads into a question where you could argue that the only way to fix it is to do what the doomsdayers and the conspiracy theorists thinks are going to happen, which is a complete blackout, wipeout. I'm not talking bombing. I'm not talking crazy death. I'm just talking a complete reset on our entire everything. EMP,
I don't think it needs to be
electronic
that extreme,
shutdown.
but I'm like, the
If
only
it
thing
goes
that's
that way,
solve
that's the only
inflation
way.
is a crash. That's what I think.
The only way to solve our inflation is a global currency or a central bank currency that's digital that wipes out the dollar. They replace it. That solves our debt and our inflation issues. The only way to solve our corruption is to literally wipe out the technology we have and to set us back eons. Just go away.
Are you saying you're pro a global currency?
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm
okay.
saying
I'm not saying. I was like, wait, what?
What I would
You're
do.
Just saying that's what like
this
you
is a
think.
This is a very uneducated thing to say, and I don't know what the repercussions would be, but like the only way I see out of it are two things. One, you're going to like a digital or a global currency, so maybe three things, digital or global. And the one that I kind of lean towards, fuck you. And you just don't pay anybody, and you say, what are you going to do about it, bro? What the fuck are you going to do? You going to come attack us? We have the best military. Like, there's so many other reasons why you would attack us. Are you going to do that? So I don't think we would do that. I don't think we go to a global currency. What's left is the digital currency that I think they'll just do a reset and a swap of debt.
Yeah.
Either that or the fourth one. We get people in office who know what they're doing. We stop giving away money.
Who wants to
We
vote
stop,
for an intelligent person to be in office? Sounds weird.
We stop spending money to appease people. Stop reimbursing college debt. Stop giving other countries, like we're always giving other countries money, and actually spend it on our own country.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't it be amazing if we built new manufacturing plants free for businesses so they could expand and we could produce more? Wouldn't it be amazing if our teachers made more money and our police got paid twice what they were getting paid so we police properly?
Yeah. Putting billions of dollars into the defense fund, which just seems to disappear and they can't account for.
Well,
and
then they go and sell our weapons to other countries. And then, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things, but I don't know. I'm not a politician.
I don't know the solution. And I honestly avoid this. Like 4 years ago, I cared more about this. Now I'm to the point in my life where I'm just like, I'm focusing on what I can control. That's
Same.
where I live.
I
I
100%
don't-
agree with that too. Yeah.
But I mean, I can't like, it's funny. I always talked about this, and I joke around with my wife. Like, I lean libertarian. I like what libertarians stand for, but what's the point? Like, I feel like every libertarian I've ever met is just unhappy because they can't
They're all
ever
angry.
live. They can't ever live out their ideals. I'm like, I don't want to live
Libertarian is
like
one
that.
step away from socialism. Yeah.
No, it's not.
I
No,
agree.
it's
I
not.
think it is, but
No, it's
I
not.
think there's a way to help people and run a capitalist society, and I think there's both to it. And
Libertarians is one way away from socialism. What?
wokeism.
Anyways. No, what?
Bro.
I don't think you understand what libertarians are. They hate government handouts. They hate government handouts. They'd rather own a gun and shoot anybody trying to take stuff from them. That's all the libertarians I know. No? All right. We've gotten way into the and stuff part of.
Well, listen, I
Stop
am
real
not
estate
above.
today.
I'm not above saying I misunderstood what a libertarian is or what my definition is, and is that inaccurate? I am not very knowledgeable in all things politics, so if I'm
Libertarians
wrong, then
are fiscally conservative and socially liberal, but they don't like
socially
government.
liberal.
They want small government. They want the government not to pay for anything. And they want people to be independent and run their lives the way that they want. But they don't
that
pay for anything.
social liberal part is where
Meaning, like, you could do whatever you want. I don't want to control your life, but I'm not going to pay for it either.
I'm gonna have to do more research on this. I don't know enough to have a conversation about this.
And maybe it's just the 4 to 5 libertarians I've met are like that. Maybe there's a different side of libertarians that you know about.
This is not the definition of libertarian as the
That,
world.
That is the definition that I have absorbed from the people that I.
So we're gonna hold off on this, but I feel like it's an intelligent combo, and I enjoy the fact that you can have these combos without people like you see people like you ever watch like what's his name, Charlie Kirk, and they're like,
never speaking to you again.
It's like, why can't people just talk, bro?
Yeah,
like,
you gotta be able
everyone's
to talk
allowed
about
to
it.
have their opinion. Anyway, we got into the weeds on politics, but if anyone can find me a pair of Trump sneakers, let me know, bro. Let me know. I'd put them up on like my shelf back here, and I'd be like, oh, I put like a pedestal and a light, and one day I would find Trump, and I would get him to sign them.
No.
And just as a side note, John, I think you should. There's a video out there. You should just research how Trump, what he did to get Mar-a-Lago, and how he talk about people. I wouldn't say he took advantage, but very creatively used influence networking and loopholes to operate, live in Mar-a-Lago. I was like, wow, whoever he paid to figure all that shit out. Like, you should research it. It is, I never knew it. And I was like, that is impressive. But like, he should have lost that property a while ago, probably.
But again, how does that inform my life and what I can control?
You're right.
That's what I care about right now.
Well, yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah, let's. We got a whole year of this, and I have a TV right here.
I'm literally trying to avoid this.
Yeah, we're not going to, John. It's election year, baby.
God.
This is what the people want. This is what
I've seen people get so upset in their lives and just live miserable. I don't understand it. And
I know people like that. Yeah.
I'll be okay with it, like coming into here and like laughing about it for 30 minutes, but
I can also see both sides, man. Like, there's two sides. Like, there's things I don't like about Trump, but there's things I do. Like, you can't be, what's the word? Like, not beholden, but like just in awe of somebody where you don't see flaws, right? Like, everyone has their issues.
I don't know about that, man.
But there's people that literally, like, they can't take both sides. They just don't see it, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican.
Oh yeah,
there are
definitely people like that. Yes,
and that boggles my mind. Like, how do you not see rational logic, like things right in front of your face that you want to ignore for the sake of what you believe your belief is? I don't know. Anyway.
All right, guys. Next week, more real estate.
We'll
See you
there.
guys.
Log and load.
Next week, Papa P will be broadcasting from Mar-a-Lago or a hotel.
Bro,
With his
God, that would be
Trump sneakers.
that'd be the dream with my Trump sneaks on, with my Trump NFT in the background. I'm still trying to get one of those. I got to figure it out. Bro, my crypto profile is booming.
Pumping? Hell yeah.
Pumping.
Love that.
All right, I'm gonna hit end stream now. We'll see you guys next week.